Hear me out. Trump isn't America's Hitler, but Graham Plattner could be. His disastrous campaign, an audition, a performance for the likes of Adolf Thiel, Darth Vance, and Apartheid Musk, the leaders of American fascism right now. Think about it for a while. You'll start to see it too. I'm autistic and highly intelligent with a special interest in political economy, and my pattern-matching spidey senses have been pinging loudly about Graham Plattner. America's Hitler probably is the closest match for him, and while he seems to stand firmly on the left across from fascism on the far right, we need to forget that left versus right bullshit. It is a big fucking scam designed to confuse and divide us. The essence of fascism is simply the cult-like, militaristic, brutal repression of socialism. That's it. See, capitalism is such a profoundly fragile economic system that it can't handle competition, ironically. And socialism is the competition. So from time to time, when socialism gains a bit too much traction, the capitalists send in the fascists to crush the socialists. That's a fact. That is our history, which is now repeating because we weren't taught it. I wonder why. When Graham Plattner was accused of being a socialist, he responded to major media outlets on the record saying, "Of course I'm not a socialist. I'm a small business owner and a Marine Corps veteran." That is a fascist dog whistle if ever there was one. Read between the lines. He's really saying that not only is he not a socialist, but he's so strongly opposed to socialism that he's willing to spill blood, to take up arms and kill whoever it takes to stop socialism. That's fascism in a nutshell. In his campaign launch video, Plattner emphasized his 4 tours of combat duty as an infantryman in the U.S. military, his 4 tours in the business of killing at the behest of his capitalist overlords back home. And he said as a consequence, he's not afraid to name an enemy, and that enemy is the oligarchy. Again, a fascist dog whistle. Replace the oligarchy with the Jews, and trim Plattner's beard just so. And you'll see exactly what I mean. Fascists are not afraid to blame economic problems on economic elites. Trump, a billionaire, a member of the Epstein class, got elected, blaming his fellow billionaires and colleagues in the Epstein class. But merely naming and blaming a group of oppressors doesn't go nearly far enough, assuming you've even identified the correct group. We need to go so much further and name the system that has been producing an endless stream of oppressors since before the founding of this nation. I'm not afraid to name it. That system is capitalism. And folks like Graham Plattner, Donald Trump, there are many more like them in both parties, are absolutely terrified that we will start to correctly identify, see it, and name capitalism as the ultimate economic adversary of the United States, of we the people. That's exactly what it is. You can knock down your current Epstein class, your current billionaires, your current capitalist class, whatever you want to call them, but they will always rebuild as long as they have capitalism giving them the edge. We did that decades and generations ago. Knocked down our Epstein class at the time, and built the middle class as a result. But they have been steadily building back ever since, stronger than ever, because capitalism has given them the power to do that. And now we're at a place where the capitalist class are beating us down as hard and as fast as they can, so that we will never again have the opportunity to resist their domination, to fight back for our freedom. For now, we do have the power to fight back, with words, with truth, with names. Names matter. As citizens of the U.S., we do still have free speech to name capitalism as the enemy. Even though, throughout much of U.S. history, our nation has spilled blood overseas in the name of stopping socialism, often also called communism. They can't do that right now, here. They can't make war against the citizenry of the United States. That's why they need fascism here at home in the United States. Fascism serves to redirect us from our socialist energies. Fascism names whoever they have to name as the enemy, but never names capitalism as our enemy. And once America's Hitler does come to power, be they Graham Plattner or someone else, not necessarily somebody exactly like Adolf Hitler, he was a bit too unhinged, right? Even for the likings of fascists. Once the fascists have fully seized power, they are forecasting exactly what they're going to do. We will be killed or sent to jail, or worse, for speaking the truth about capitalism, for being a socialist, for being a communist, for being anybody other than a capitalist. We have to speak out while we have the power and the right, while we still have free speech as Americans. We have to speak the truth and name things accurately. So here's what you can do. Do what I'm doing. Make a video just like this. Name capitalism for what it is. Capitalism is cowardice. Capitalism is oppression. Capitalism is fascism. That's the truth. Spread the word while you still can. Just a couple days ago, Donald Trump shared on his Truth Social network a video from Michael Savage. It does not matter if you've ever heard of Michael Savage. What matters is that in this video, Savage argues for the immediate criminalization of all socialists, of all communists. Doesn't matter which one you are. If you are simply anti-capitalist, Michael Savage is saying you should be made into a criminal, locked up or deported or worse. The President of the United States shared that sentiment on his own social media network, on his own official page on that network. Trump himself has been saying these things similarly, that communism is the greatest threat to America. And by communism, he means anybody who doesn't like capitalism, anybody who wants to improve upon capitalism. This is all classic fascism. Fascism exists to prop up capitalism because it can't stand on its own two legs against any kind of competition. In the video, Michael Savage tries to explain why he thinks socialism and communism are so dangerous, using the example of Cambodia and Pol Pot, the brutal dictator who committed a genocide in Cambodia. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Pol Pot was a Marxist. He was a socialist. Even though socialists and Marxists and communists nowadays, and even his contemporaries, would have disavowed him, do disavow him, he was an aberration. But Michael Savage points to Pol Pot as an example of what will happen if a socialist leader gains power in the United States. Never mind the fact that real socialists don't want any one person to have that kind of power, not even in potential. We don't want to open the door for somebody like Pol Pot to come to power. But setting that aside, what Michael Savage doesn't tell you, what Donald Trump will never tell you, is that Pol Pot and his associates would have never come to power in Cambodia had the United States not meddled in the region. Pol Pot would have never happened. His genocide would have never happened had the United States not been trying to prevent socialism from spreading in the region. Our efforts to stop socialism ended up producing the very thing that we were telling people to be afraid of with socialism. A dictator, the loss of liberties, the government killing its own citizens. If you want to be fair to communism and socialism and Marxism, probably a better example would be current-day China, which has the single greatest economy in human history. Granted, they are an authoritarian government, however. Folks in China don't have free speech. Their internet is walled off from the rest of the internet globally. Now, do we really have free speech in the United States either? When our own president is calling for the criminalization of political viewpoints, like socialism, like anti-capitalism? Are we really all that much less authoritarian than the Chinese Communist Party? Don't be so sure about that. Their standard of living is certainly a lot higher than ours. Ask yourself, why is the CCP so committed to keeping out foreign influence via the internet, foreign influence via religions, foreign influence via freedom of association, freedom of speech, so on and so forth? Why are they so authoritarian? If you know your history, the United States has been fomenting, enabling, pursuing regime change against any nation where socialism is gaining any traction. This has been our consistent policy for a very long time. So many wars, so much bloodshed, just because we wanted to keep socialism from spreading anywhere. If it weren't for the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian policies, the United States would have fomented the Chinese people against their own government, and they wouldn't be able to be socialists then. Let's be very clear. China's economic system is known as state capitalism. They're not even really allowed to practice socialism because they inhabit a capitalist world. So they do the best they can, which is state capitalism. It's capitalism with a socialist heart. But if it weren't for the United States and our meddlesome, violent, repressive foreign policy, arguably the CCP wouldn't have to be an authoritarian party. The list goes on of the ways in which the United States' foreign influence has distorted the rest of the world, sometimes in very brutal or disastrous ways. I would encourage you to get a good AI chatbot and ask it about this stuff. Don't take the AI's answers as the word of God or anything, because the AIs make mistakes. Don't take my word for anything. But look into this. AI has made it so easy for anybody to go learn their history about how the United States has killed, has done many regime changes, has suppressed liberties here and elsewhere, just to keep socialism at bay. If enough people start doing that, using AI to help them understand socialism and capitalism and the history of the United States, how the United States has been very much a bad guy, a bad actor on the world stage for a very long time. If enough people start to use AI to learn this stuff, they'll find ways to censor AI from helping you learn about socialism, about capitalism, about Marxism, about communism, about the history of the United States, about how we've often been a bad guy. Learn while you still can. If you made it this far, I feel pretty comfortable asking you to like and subscribe and share this video. And please, consider financially supporting me. I have a Ko-Fi, K-O-F-I, or is it pronounced coffee? I don't know. I do have coffee. I've also got Cash App and Venmo, the usual suspects. See, this is, I guess, my job now, being a professional socialist, and I'm painting a big target on my back. What I'm doing could be a crime soon. And I need to be prepared for doxing, the ways that folks like me are attacked. And as a disabled person, I'm choosing to take on this job. It's really hard work, but it's work that I can do with my disabilities and as a caregiver. With the way the economy is now, I figure, what have I got to lose? Things are only going to get worse, especially for disabled people. July is Disability Pride Month, and I am proud to be autistic, ADHD, very neurodivergent. What have I got to lose?